Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Monoposto Career Mode, and today we have round 4 for the 2026 season, which is taking place at Imola. Now, first of all, I would like to apologise for my long, unexplained absence from YouTube. Basically, a few things. Number one, it was really nice to enjoy some time off with my family over Christmas, and I kind of struggled to get back into the routine of making videos as a result of this. I've been kind of lacking a bit of motivation, and also I've just been generally very busy with life and schoolwork, with A-levels not far away now, unfortunately. So yeah, it's been a really tough few weeks, few months, and it's going to stay that way, unfortunately, but hopefully when this is all over, I'll be able to return to a consistent upload schedule. In the meantime, though, I'm afraid you'll have to stick with these one-off random posts with no sort of schedule to them. I'll just have to post videos when I'm able, as and when. It's been such a long break since the previous video, but I'm not in any position to quit YouTube. I definitely am committed to this channel. I want to keep going. It's just going to be a very slow process over the next few months. Anyway, with that out of the way, I would now like to turn your attention to this career mode again. Now, I appreciate it's been a long time since I did one of these, so I'm just going to quickly remind you of what happened in the previous episode at the Chinese Grand Prix. So Fernando Alonso ended that race victorious for Aston Martin, and myself and Ocon also managed to finish on the podium. So we are leading the constructors as things stand, racing for my new team, Alpine, of course, brand new for this season. And we come into Imola off the back of a very rich period where we've been in really good form. So a disappointing result for me in Australia in the season opener. We then won in Bahrain and got P2 in China. So momentum is definitely on our side. With that said, let's see how things stacked up after qualifying for the 4th round of the season. Well, it's his second pole of the year for Fernando Alonso. He is in red-hot form at the moment, of course, after dominating in the end the Chinese Grand Prix. However, we've got a 2-3 for Audi. Carlos Sainz and Lando Norris seem to have found some form at this old-school Italian circuit, and they're showing some of the pace that they demonstrated in the first round at Albert Park. Since then, they've been a little bit inconsistent, a bit unpredictable, so it clearly, I guess, just depends on the track for how well they're going to perform. So it's likely that that's going to be changeable as the weeks go on. I've only qualified in P10, but remember, the grid is so close. We've got Ocon in P4, then Stroll, Gasly, Schumacher, Drogovic and Zhou doing very nicely to get into the top 10 there. Leclerc and Russell missing out on the top 10, and Max Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda only P17 and P16 in the Red Bull. So it's clearly still same old for them, really struggling to find anything in qualifying from that car. It definitely seems like this season's Red Bull has got much better race pace, because we saw in the Chinese Grand Prix Verstappen managed to get a few points on the board there, I believe. So I think that car definitely comes alight on heavy fuel. As we're cycling through the grid sequence, it's been such a long time since I've done one of these again. I can't apologise enough for the lack of videos. And here we go, 22 cars on the grid, and we're nearly ready to go. It just looks so good, doesn't it? I've forgotten how much I love playing this game. I wish I could do it more often. Setup for this video. Imola is obviously quite a high downforce circuit, so this is the setup that I qualified on. We're starting on the medium tyres to see if we can try and extend, as we're now revving up to 5 red lights. After this race, we are 20% of the way through the season. Lights out, and away we go after a very long hold, and it seems I've forgotten how to get a good start on this game. Charles Leclerc in the Scarlet Ferrari already goes past me, and of course the Enzo Dino Ferrari home circuit, and it looks like there's another car that's going to be on my left hand side now. That's Théo Pourchaire as we're braking for turn 1. I'm just trying to stay out of trouble here, riding the curb on the right hand side, dipping a tyre on the grass. Albon's there on the hard tyres, but it looks like there's a bit of a gaggle of cars getting held up there, and it's the Alfa Romeo, Penske and Ferrari checkerboard. So Schumacher and Pourchaire getting ahead of Zhou and Leclerc as we're now going through the hairpin at Tosa, I believe. Have I just completely plucked that out of my head from... I don't know. We go through the hairpin, and it looks like I'm going to out-traction the Alfa Romeo Penske on the exit. Try and go for the move on Mick Schumacher. The German driver was a bit hesitant there, and I'm actually going to capitalise on that and make the place up again. So we're now up into P8 after what was initially a poor getaway off the line, but we know that our car is so quick, and we're going to go clean around the outside of the McLaren of Pierre Gasly as well. That chrome and orange McLaren is such a nice livery, and we're now up into P7. and piling all the pressure onto the Repsol Haas of Felipe Drugovich. We're just so much quicker than the Brazilian driver. Look at this, the ERS deployment, and we're just going to pull side by side the Brazilian down the pit straight as we go on to the start of lap number 3, and it will be DRS wide open, and that's a fairly straightforward move now up into P6. Again, I'm just carving through the field like a hot knife through butter. Onto the next lap, we've got Lance Stroll in the crosshairs, the Canadian driver in the Aston Martin. I'm going to send it there, you know. Stroll might try and keep his foot in. I've got a little bit offset over the grass, and Stroll is all over the back of me again. He's going to try and go past on the right-hand side, but now I'm going to back out because I don't want to try and go too wide through the quick chicane, because that will end in disaster, and we're just going to have to forfeit that position and see if we can try once again on the exit of the hairpin up into ERS using the tow that the Aston Martin is providing for us. We're going to pull out to the left hand side, and we're going to make a quick dive bomb there up the inside of Stroll, and I'm going to make sure that I cut across him so that he can't try and re-overtake me, as now we have moved on to lap number 5, and I'm just nicely minding my own business here, returning through the hairpin, and I've spun it. Oh my word, that's a rare mistake from me in this season. You know, I've spun the car before, but the handling of the Alpine in 2026 is a lot different to any of the other cars we've driven. And that, well, I guess that's just lack of playing the game, to be honest. And I'm now all the way down into P11. Nightmare. That is not going to help our race one bit, considering we started in P10 and we're trying to recover some of these places that we possibly missed out on in qualifying. That is exactly what we didn't need, and now George Russell in the Mercedes has got past me as well. Albon all over the back of me. I'm in a Mercedes sandwich at the moment. Great scrap with my old team, although I seem to have got better acceleration. We're gaining on the Mercedes Ineos car. The British driver is on the left. We're going to try and hog round the outside of the track. No, not quite. Russell positioning his car very well there, although we're quicker to go up into battery on the exit, and it looks like we are going to fly past now. And there are some cars in the pit lane. Théo Pourchaire and, well, I think there was one other. Was there? Maybe not. I don't know. Moving swiftly on. Seems I've forgotten how to commentate as well. And we've got Charles Leclerc in the slipstream. There are now a few more cars in the pit lane, so that's going to push us up a few more free positions. We've got DRS on the Monegasque driver, and we are going to make a very simple overtake there now into P5. As I say, quite a lot of drivers making a pit stop, starting on the mediums, means that we can definitely commit to a one-stop strategy. However, what I didn't tell you yet is there is a mixed forecast for this Grand Prix, so I'm trying to see if there's going to be any rain falling, if we can stay out until it falls, and then we can be in with a real shout of a podium today, because then we won't have to make a pit stop until the rain, as you just see me getting past Mick Schumacher there as well. Now Carlos Sainz has really rapidly caught me up. This is just a few corners later, I think. I'm trying to leave plenty of room for the Spanish driver. The Audi is going to take it on fresh medium tyres. He's just going to be so much quicker in a car that's been a little bit unpredictable overall this season. As I say, we saw a fantastic Audi front row lockout on debut in Australia, but since then they've been a little bit inconsistent, but looking very quick once again. Here today is now, look at the sky. What did I tell you? Can you tell the transition between the previous clip and this one, that it's a lot darker? It's overcast, it's grey, the rain is hopefully on the way, but Fernando Alonso still pumping in purple sectors, purple lap times, and he's 7 seconds clear in the lead ahead of Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris, well, I don't quite know what happened there exactly, but the British driver is now going to take P3 away from me, and I just feel like a bit of a sitting duck, because although I haven't made a pit stop yet, these tyres are really worn, and I'm just going to end up getting eaten alive by the rest of the field. So it's a really fine line that I'm walking at the moment. I need to make sure that I try not to make any mistakes like that. First warning for track limits. You can see the tyres are absolutely shot. Look at that, brick red, all 4 settings, 10 laps on mediums. The tyre wear is a lot less than last season, but even this is just kind of absolutely stretching the limits of the Pirelli rubber in 2026. But we're just waiting for the rain. You can see it's still overcast. I'm just praying that the rain will fall so we can make a pit stop. Here comes Ocon. He's now set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on fresh soft tyres. I'm not going to hold him up, and once again I find myself behind my teammate. It just seems to be, he's getting a little bit better luck than me overall. Don't forget, he won the first race of the season, been very consistent since then. He seemed to be very slow in Bahrain, and I managed to overtake him. But now, I think, to be honest, as we're starting lap 12, I genuinely can't go any longer on these tyres, whether the rain is coming or not. So we're going to dive into the pit lane, although it does mean we can go for some fresh softs to the end, which means we're going to be absolutely lightning fast. Maybe see if we can steal the fastest lap of the race away for ourselves, as we're now changing onto this fresh set of soft tyres that we saved from qualifying, and and we're going to need to try and generate the tyre temperature as quickly as possible, because it looks like we're P11, P12, looking at the screen on the left hand side there, that's P13. Is it going to be any lower than that? P14, P15, as Nick de Vries and Charles Leclerc both go past me. So yeah, I've definitely got my work cut out now, although thankfully, if you look at the gap, there's only 10 seconds to Felipe Drogovic, who's in P8, and Jan Deruvila, who's in P7's got a 5-second time penalty. So those are the kind of guys that I want to see if I can catch in 3 laps with arguably the best car on the best tyres on a track that's not usually good for overtaking. Let's see what we can do as we make a fantastic move around the outside of Nick de Vries, and look at the traction difference, the grip difference between ourselves and the Ferrari. That's 2 overtakes ticked off, tickety-boo, and now we're on our way up into P13, and now we've got George Russell, who's the next driver in front of us, purple sector, 1.5 seconds faster than anyone else in the rest of the Grand Prix. And now look at this, up into battery, Russell stands absolutely no chance there, we absolutely fly past him, and again it looks like the same could be said for Mick Schumacher here. Going to bide my time, wait for DRS, and then hopefully make a slam dunk move along the pit straight. The German driver making life a little bit difficult for me, trying to place his car awkwardly, although what on earth happened there? Schumacher just ghosted through me. I've never seen that on this game. I genuinely never thought ghosting was a thing. I thought we were going to crash, so my heart absolutely stopped for a second. But if some drivers are going to stop again, then that's obviously going to give me some more free positions. Purple sector 1, lovely move there around the outside of Pourchaire, almost crashing into Pierre Gasly in the process as well. Notice that it's a lot less overcast now, so it was clearly just a patch of grey cloud during the course of this race, round the outside of Gasly, and maybe the rain was never going to fall after all. So we're now up into P9, so we're making fantastic progress. This is exactly what I wanted. We're going to get DRS now on the Repsol Haas. We're behind Felipe Drogovic once again. Just look at the gaining speed. Look at the gaining speed. This is just DRS. I'm going to send it here. Up the inside of the Brazilian driver, trying to leave some space. Drogovic can't fight back though. I've just simply got too much grip. And we're into P6. And don't forget, this is effectively P5 because the Indian Jan Deruvila has got a 5-second time penalty. So I'm going to try and dispatch him anyway. He's on hard tyres, which are likely going to be extremely worn. There we go, up the inside. That's one of my favourite places to have a little dive, up the inside of a driver. And that is now P5 with Alex Albon next up in the Mercedes, effectively driving what would have been my car. What a blessing in disguise that was to switch to Alpine for this season. They told me something, that they were cooking something for this season, and they certainly weren't wrong. And this is going to be a fairly straightforward overtake. Hopefully, Albon seems to be dumping the battery, although we are now going to slide up the inside, and that is P4 at the Imola Grand Prix, as we're starting the final lap to see if we can just defend from Albon, as our tyres might starting to be going off now, but I'm confident we've got the better car anyway. However, this man has been totally untroubled today. Fernando Alonso has led every single lap of this Grand Prix. It's going to be 2 race wins in a row for the Aston Martin driver, as the Spaniard wins at Imola in a very, very convincing style. And I tell you what, that is an ominous sign for all of the rivals of Aston Martin, for ourselves in particular, to show that they've just got such domination in what's supposed to be the closest grid in F1 ever. So Fernando Alonso using his skill set, using his experience to drag that team, drag that car up the order, and it certainly paid dividends here this weekend. Meanwhile, for us, I think it's been an extremely mixed bag of a race. My tyres are wearing out now. Second warning for track limits, getting all out of shape there through the final corner. We're going to drain the battery, and thankfully we're going to hold on for P4 from Carlos Sainz as we cross the line, and we take the fastest lap as well. That was really unexpected. Somehow I was a lot quicker in the final sector, which is really expected. I don't know how that managed to happen. Anyway, Alonso wins by over 13 seconds. Norris P2, great result for Audi, and Lance Stroll P3, so it's a double podium for Aston Martin. For the first time this season, it's taken them 4 races with the best car, so Alonso is a long way ahead of Stroll, clearly. Then myself P4, obviously Sainz P5, he pitted again near the end and threw away a podium. Disappointing strategy from Audi. My teammate Esteban Ocon P6, fairly solid result for the team as a whole. Albon P15 to P7, great drive from him. Then Deruvila and Drogovic will switch places, and Gasly gets the final point. Max Verstappen only 19th in the Red Bull, but once again the Williams are a long way off the back. But that is it for today's video. Very interesting one with the whole fairy tale with rain and spinning, and still generally a very welcome return to Monoposto. I did enjoy that a lot, you know. As I say, it's a shame that I can't do this more often, but I guess that's just life at the moment. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are still here, then, well, you're just a legend. I really appreciate you if you're watching this far. Be sure to like, share and subscribe if you're enjoying this series. The next race will be taking place at the Spanish Grand Prix as and when. Time will tell. We'll wait and see. I also don't want to abandon my FX Racer career mode, so maybe next time I upload it will be a video on that, but as I say, still not entirely sure when that will be. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please be sure to like, share and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and join my Discord server. You can find all the relevant links in the description down below. Just as a side note, Alpine and Aston Martin are now tied for P1 in the Constructors, so stay tuned for that with P3 in the Championship as well. Very, very close behind our teammate Ocon in P2. Russell's still got no points, so Mercedes clearly struggling out there, but there it is, confirmation of us tied for P1, 40 points ahead of the rest. What a fight this is going to be. Can't wait to see you next time.